Hi, I'm Chris Martinson of Peak Prosperity, and this is your weekly YouTube update. It's October 15th. Why is that important? Well, September 17th, the Dow Jones hit an all-time high of 17,200 and change, and today it's flirting with the 16,000 mark. Volatility has returned to the markets. If you haven't been tracking this, well, you probably ought to be taking a look, because the volatility is not just in the center mass here with the Dow Jones, the S&P, things like that. It started a long time ago, almost 2 months ago now, over in the high yield credit markets. It started in the junk bond markets. It started in the Russell 2000 small cap index. These are the places, as we talk about, this is from the outside in. This is where we look for trouble. Greek debt is the major story of this past week. When this week started, it's Thursday now, when it started on Monday, Greek debt was trading at about 6.5%. Today, it's trading at over 8.8%. That 2.3% move is extraordinary. It's really big. And the question is not, can Greece actually fund their debt going forward? The answer is no, it always has been. The question is, who's holding that Greek debt? But more importantly, who's holding the derivatives that were written against that Greek debt? Because the last time Greek debt went into this sort of a panic mode, the ruling body overseeing the derivatives freaked out, froze the market, didn't let that auction clear for those derivatives for over 2 months, just telling us that a few years ago, a tiny amount of derivatives on Greek debt was enough to freeze the derivative system. This is the holy grail nuclear bomb of the financial world. We're waiting to see what this means, but the explosion in Greek debt yields this week is well worth keeping your eye on. So we're tracking all of these things, mostly at the edges, but also noting the center mass. Hey, the Dow is down a lot. Now, there's a new two-parter report at the site that I've just written. It's around the Ebola virus and our responses to it. I'll tell you what, in order, the virus outbreak itself does not concern me yet at this stage, but our responses to it, boy, those are going to concern me. If you have not been following the comedy of errors that the CDC has bestowed upon the nation, then you really ought to check that out. Not because we want to beat up on the CDC as they try to wrestle with probably the first legitimate pandemic outbreak that they've had to deal with in a while, but because it just goes to show that when real events actually hit, sometimes the government's a great responder, sometimes it's not. I think there's a reason the United States sent military troops to West Africa to help them with the Ebola outbreak over there. Cuba sent doctors, we sent the military. Why did the United States send the military? Well, arguably it's our most effective organization. You know you can send the military and they'll get cots, food, logistics will be done well. They will manage to corral and control whatever they have to do. That's why we send the military. So it just goes to show here in the United States, our other organizations, particularly the CDC in this case, they're just not up to the task of dealing with, I'm going to call, a minor emergency. Because as of this recording, exactly one person has flown into this country and died from Ebola. 2 others have managed to contract it from that individual. These are minuscule numbers in the context of our overall nation. And still, we haven't mounted an effective response at even one hospital in Texas. We'll get it under control. They're working on it. But it's just the nature of that flat-footed response that we want to talk about and have you look at. So if you want to stop by the site, check out that two-parter. It's really detailed. And the second part, importantly, doesn't really spend a lot of time worrying about how to deal with Ebola personally, but it says, hey, wake up call, people. A pandemic is always a real possibility. They struck in 1918 with the Spanish flu. We had the SARS thing, which came this close to being a major outbreak. We had the H1N1 outbreak. These sorts of things are still in the realm of possible. So we think the Ebola virus is a great time to say, hey, how are you personally prepared for a pandemic? How might the government respond? What could actually happen? And just use it as your personal invitation to check out your preparations and see how you feel. Are you set? Are you not? If you're not, come check out the report. We're talking about how to prepare for something like that at the individual level. So with that, I'll see you next week. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.